Hey everybody, welcome back to Tommy's Tesla Tech and Travel. Well, it's official. We've owned our electric car for 2 years, and as you can tell from the background, we're not driving in it. Because unfortunately, a rock decided to break my windshield. See, there's a picture right there. So we're getting that fixed. So we're driving around as a family today in our gas guzzler. And we decided to kind of go over having a Tesla for 2 years. Kind of a mixture of the new year / what's like having an electric car as a family, because it is our primary family car up until we got this. And lately, I have not been the one driving it. So Dana, what's been your favorite part about driving it mainly the last couple weeks?
Not having to get gas.
I think that's a benefit no matter which way you cut it. So we've talked about in the past that we didn't know if it was actually going to be a legit family car. I think it's kind of like the way I got Dana to marry me. I just kind of wore her down to the point where she said, "I don't care, buy the car." But I think it's been a nice car, and I think she can't argue that. In retrospect, if we can go back, would we buy it again?
I think if we went back, the slightly bigger one.
I agree. I even looked at getting the Model Y again recently, but now that we have an SUV, there's really not a point. It's nice to have the small, medium-sized car. But I agree, especially getting that long-range one, since we've taken it on several road trips. Which brings me to my next point. Can we survive as a family with an electric vehicle? And the quick answer is we have. We even used it to drive to Florida and back. We've used it to drive to California and back a lot. Disneyland. We've also used it to drive to Phoenix a lot. We've driven pretty much everywhere you can think of. And there's really been there's never been any lacking driving an electric car versus the gas car in that regards. Like, yeah, can you think of any time where you were like, oh, I wish we didn't have this car?
The one time we were coming back from Florida and we had that spot between charges where
it was
said
between like New Mexico and our first stop in Arizona.
Yeah.
Because it's a slightly uphill incline. It was not ideal weather and temperature, and it's like you're going to arrive with 17% power. You're going to arrive with 8% power. You're going to arrive with negative 2% power. And that's when we were both like, So I slowed it down. We basically did 55 the rest of the way. And I tried to get behind as many cars as I could to draft, which helped. We eventually arrived with, I think it was 11% power. So it was a little scary there at times, but that was like only one that really comes to my mind as well. Otherwise, it's been nice. I mean, we have the stops that we do with the kids where they can get out and run around and play, or we go grab some food or lunch, or we just experience a lot of places around us that we never would have experienced otherwise. The thing that I really liked about it is like pretty much zero maintenance we've had with it. Actually, just windshield wiper fluid. But just recently, if you watched our last video, I did run into an issue that I've now run into several times with this car.
Twice.
3.
Is it third?
This is my third situation with tires.
Yeah.
I had a flat about 3 weeks after I got the car where I was sitting at work. One of my coworkers came in and said, "Hey, what happened to your tire?" "Ha ha ha, what are you talking about?" "No, you have a flat tire." "I do?" Sure enough, I go in there. I have a flat tire. I ran over a bolt. Not even a screw, a bolt. A bolt took out my tire. All right, that stunk, whatever. Then a few weeks later, I was driving down a back road that I normally take because it's quicker to get to my former work, before I switch jobs. And next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I'm losing air. I picked up another nail. And then, so I had 3 times where I had to get the tire fixed. Then I had to replace it one other time. So this is actually my 4th tire situation. So the reason that I'm bringing up the tire situation so much, it's the one thing, like, yeah, I can change a tire, no problem. However, there's no place for a spare tire in a Tesla. You have to make sure you buy the little pucks to put on the right side to actually jack it up. But I also don't carry a jack with me either. So I have to call Tesla roadside. And every time I've had to call Tesla roadside, they can't just come out and change the tire. They actually have to tow it. So I've had my car towed 3 times. So that's the only downside I've had so far to owning the Tesla is the tires. And they're only rated for 40,000 miles as well. And at $350 a tire, you think you get a little bit more mileage out of them. But I'll admit, it's because of the torque to the tires, so you're chewing through the rubber a little bit faster because the car is harder on tires. But that's my only downside. Other than that, and the owner of the company's gone a little crazy the last few months.
A little bit.
And if one more person tells me I look like Elon Musk, I'm going to go crazy. I don't think I do.
No.
Yeah, I'm chubby with poofy hair. That's where the comparison ends. I do like our car. I like being an electric car. I actually had the feeling recently. I don't know if you people watch the TV show Entourage out there. There was one episode where Ari wakes up. He goes, "I think Vinny's gonna fire me," and then Vince wakes up and goes, "I think I need to fire Ari." Not that long ago, I woke up being like, I think I want to trade in my car and get something different. I obviously haven't done it yet, but I'm still floating the idea. I've been looking at prices of different cars because the EV prices are finally coming down a little bit, especially with our current economic situation here in the United States this coming year in 2023. I call it the year of the recession. I think we're going to see interest rates and the actual cost of the cars go down a little bit more too. So we'll see. I don't know. The only one, I don't know, do you think of an electric car that you would like besides the Tesla?
I don't know if I trust the charging network.
So I think it's getting better, like especially with EVgo and a few of the other ones, like because EVgo you can charge just as fast as a Tesla charger essentially. My issue is the most common one we see out there is ChargePoint, which I love ChargePoint. I use it all the time. Used it at Disneyland this last year. We used it in Florida. I've used it in California a bunch. Even in Phoenix, some of our hotels have had ChargePoints there. So I've charged there. However, the fastest I ever got is just like the normal like few miles per hour. It's not enough to really sustain like a long road trip. But EVgo, I would have no problem doing it as long as we can map it out correctly. Because I really like the Ford Mach-E and the Mustang.
Volkswagen came out with a new one.
And that's what I was looking at originally, the ID4. Well, the one before that. It's a smaller version. And that's what we were looking at when we were talking about getting you one possibly. Because you're kind of in that, I think I'm ready for an electric car phase. Maybe. And the ID4 was a smaller compact SUV, which is what we were kind of looking for you. I don't know. I'm still happy with the Tesla. I don't plan on going away, but we've had it for 2 years, and I think it's been worth it so far. I don't plan on jumping off the EV bandwagon. Actually, I had an interesting conversation with your dad. We were talking back and forth about like ICE engines, ICE cars versus electric, and he makes a valid point. Like he just doesn't really trust it just yet, which I totally get, especially coming from him who is a mechanic. So, not for nothing, that's also kind of impeding on his livelihood. Because like we talked about, there's really no maintenance for the Tesla. In fact, every time I've had like an issue that I thought was with the car, they literally either fixed it or did diagnostics over the air, and everything was good to go. So really with them, it's like, oh, my car's having issues. Control, run, send. Okay, yeah, you're good to go, you know? I think we're going to keep the car. I think it's made a big enough impression on most of us. My wife was the biggest skeptic of all, and now she's the one who drives it primarily most of the time. So I think we're going to stay Team Tesla for a while. If not, you'll see a video, and we might have to change the name of the channel to Tommy's former Tesla and current Tech and Travel. And actually, I received a question recently. I just remember this. Asked me why I don't talk about tech more on the channel. I agree. I need to talk about tech more on the channel, but there's two things holding me back. Tech changes so fast, it's hard to keep up with it, especially with some of the things I'm really into as far as the technology goes. But number two, I did realize at one point it is a sort of conflict of interest for me since I work in the technology field. A lot of the things I would want to talk about is stuff that I work with either directly or indirectly. And in order for me to talk about it, I have to put a couple disclaimers up, which kind of would reveal what I do for a living on a daily basis. So I've avoided a lot of the tech because I would have to jump through some hurdles to even talk about it a little bit. But there's some tech stuff I think I'm going to change and talk about this coming year, which is going to be specifically a lot of camera equipment. And the reason is, I don't know a lot about camera equipment, and yet here I am recording videos for YouTube. So it's going to be kind of like me learning along and answering the questions that I had going into it, because I haven't found a lot of people that have answered the questions I've had, because if they are YouTubers, it's, you know, you're creating a field of competition. So a lot of the answers aren't out there that I was looking for, and also maybe they're just so simple of a question, no one's bothered to ask it before, or they bothered to answer it because they figured everybody knew it. I don't, because I don't know cameras that well. I admit it. Either way, thanks for taking another ride with us. So 2 years with the Tesla. We've been across the country and back. We've taken the kids to school. I've taken people to the hospital. It's the family car, and yes, it can be a family car. It's not just a toy. It's actually, to me, a universal tool. A tool that makes life a little bit easier in some aspects. Like, oh no, I gotta go get gas. Instead, with that car, I just plug it in.
Wait, why?
And wait, why? Because that's how we charge it.
Wait, why?
Oh, red light. My bad. All right.
Green light.
What does green light mean?
Go.
Okay. All right, guys. And speaking on that note, we are going to go. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.